هوای بارانی در اینجا گرد هم آمده اید نشان می‌دهد که عشق و علاقه‌تان، تعهداتتان به افغانستان و به مردم افغانستان همچنان وجود داره. از همه شما اظهار سپاس و امتنان میکنم. First of all, I would like to thank all of you for joining this great demonstration. It shows your commitment to Afghanistan. All of us have come here to call on the UN, EU and world leaders for the effective actions in protecting fundamental human rights of Afghan women, particularly their rights to education. We are deeply disappointed by the recent decision taken by the Taliban to suspend all women from attending university. It is a systematic discrimination against women and girls that reverts their empowerment back to the age of ignorance. Since the Taliban emerged as the ruling power, they have taken a series of measures that breach women and girls' fundamental human rights and severely affect their lives in the country. Afghan women have already been banned from secondary school education. They are not only prohibited from going to school and university, but they have also been pushed out of many government jobs and forbidden from traveling without a male relative. They are also banned from going to parks, fanfare, gyms, and public baths. On December 24, 2022, the Taliban ordered all local and foreign NGOs to stop women employees from going to work, which will disrupt vital and life-saving assistance to millions of Afghans. I would like to emphasize that the relative but promising growth of the education sector after 2001 has been put on hold after the Taliban came to power, and all achievements at this sector are at the great risk. With the return of the Taliban to power and ban on women's education, the hope for an educated middle class as well as growth and development in the country is fading away. هیچ کشوری بدون هماهنگی زنان، بدون پیشرفت هماهنگ زنان و مردان به هیچ نتیجه و به هیچ پیشرفتی نائل نمی شود و اقدامات اخیر طالبان منجر به این می شود که افغانستان به سمت قرون وسطا در حرکت باشد. از این جهت است که ما نگران تصمیم کنونی طالبان هستیم. The Taliban decision on women's education not only violates the human fundamental rights, but it's also clearly against the Islamic values and orders. Islam urges both men and women to seek knowledge. What is happening in Afghanistan is a gender apartheid and may amount to a crime against humanity. این یک امر اسلامی نیست. این یک امر کاملا ضد اسلامی است و به همین جهت بود که کشورهای جهان و دنیا و کشورهای اسلامی از نجف گرفته تا الازهر و تا قم و تا دیگر کشورهای اسلامی، عربستان سعودی، ترکیه در برابر این تصمیم و اقدام طالبان واکنش نشان دادند و آن را غیر اسلامی اعلام کردند. Furthermore, as stage 4 indicates, an inclusive and quality education for all women is an important element in promoting peace and prosperity for people and planet, now and into the future. With this in mind, the Taliban's prohibition of education to half of the Afghan population is a decision with potentially disastrous consequences for the future of Afghanistan and will drive more Afghans to leave the country. اگر خانم ها در تحصیلات عالی دخیل نشوند و حضور نداشته باشند، امنیت در افغانستان قابل عملی نخواهد بود. بدون حضور زنان ما نمیتوانیم یک کشور امن و آرام و پیسفول داشته باشیم.
While I welcome the international community's position against the Taliban's decision on women's education, particularly the announcement made by the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Germany, the tough situation in Afghanistan However, it requires more actions and measures to ensure that girls and women in Afghanistan are finally granted their human rights. The world has the responsibility to ensure that Afghan women receive protection for their fundamental human rights. Therefore, I call, as the former Minister of Higher Education of Afghanistan, I call on the UN, EU, and the world leaders to continue to support the Afghan women in protecting their rights and freedoms. Diplomatic pressure on the Taliban regime should be increased to reverse the multiple bans. Women must be allowed to work and move freely, and girls must be allowed to continue to go to the school and university. The norms and principles which are fundamental for the progress of the higher education should be maintained. ما از جامعه جهانی، از ملل متحد، از کشور جرمنی میخواهیم که در کنار خانم‌های افغانستان و مردم افغانستان استاد شوند. Second, increase its support and assistance for Afghan female students as well as Afghan lecturers and researchers by providing more scholarships program for education and research and supporting homeschooling and online platform or academies for sustaining the female education in Afghanistan. بحث ادامه تحصیلات عالی خانم‌ها در افغانستان و خارج از افغانستان برای ما حیاتی است و به همین جهت از جامعه جهانی و بخصوص از کشور جرمنی می‌خواهیم که فرصت‌های جبرانی را برای خانم‌های افغانستان، برای دختران افغانستان که از دانشگاه‌ها اخراج شده‌اند و چانس برایشان داده نمی‌شود، باید این فرصت‌های جبرانی برایشان ایجاد شود. And third, provide urgent protection measures and support to the protesting professors, lecturers and students. Several university professors and lecturers have resigned from public and private universities in protest against the Taliban decision. I am deeply concerned about their security. Their resignation was considered by the Taliban as an objection to Islam, which means they may face brutal punishment or detainment if they are not back to the university. Though it is requested that they be provided with protection as well as financial support as they are losing their jobs. All support to the Taliban, direct or indirect, must be stopped. This is our demand. تمام حمایت‌های جامعه جهانی به طالبان باید متوقف شود. All support to the Taliban must be stopped. The Taliban must be held responsible for their actions and faced with more pressure and sanctions under the international human rights law. Thank you for being here and welcome you again.